As promised, I'm at the Florida State Capitol talking about the Free the Children project, which I think is the most important in the country. The other major issues, such as and lockdown, are kind of derivative of government schools. What's driving the war on guns? A lot of it is you get bullying in school, which is bullying is a feature, not a bug of government schools, as I talk about in my. Then they go out and shoot people up. Also because of the lockdown in the case of the Buff Manifesto. So for that reason and many other reasons, progressivism in the students who then go out and support gun control, which is obviously so it's pretty obvious that the very dangerous movement to destroy a right to bear arms called the Second Amendment works. If you want to know what happens to countries with no right to bear arms, read that book. And a little windy here. I have all the data in that book. And the lockdown itself, what is progressivism but a form of therapy, whereas every problem in life has a government solution. Well, of course, the government can, obviously, but they locked everything down. So, but it's really all derivative of the fact that Americans allow the government to educate their children. And I understand that there's coercion reasons. We're down here in Florida. We want to get rid of the compulsory education law. That's what and the compulsory education law. The reason why it's so important in homeschoolers are derived from that law. All the regulations on here. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm just talking on the phone. Schools. This notion are derived from that mandatory attendance law. Options to it, you have to jump through their hoops. So that's really the government can kidnap your kids from your family and have them educated, and resembles a prison from the outside, acts like a prison on the inside, and really is literally a pretend. Coercion will be used against your parents and or really indirectly. They'll be put in the hands of people who will bring them to school, and they won't really have to. So what we're doing with the Free the Children project, the books on, is we're calling out the Republican Party, which really 1913 has not repealed a single major progressive rhetoric of being for the free market and against socialism and for school choice. And so the question is, in Florida, of all places, which is tied state, or maybe they're in second place at any given time in New Hampshire. There's kind of a two-way tie there. It's in the freest state. Well, it's the Democrats. No, it's not the Democrats. It's 3 states. The Republicans are in complete control of that building, and that's the other house, and the governor is around here somewhere. The Republicans control everything, as they do in New Hampshire, Alabama, states, the 4 states I've been to. And my next stop, by the way, will be West Virginia, Ohio. And I'll have more time to plan it out, so I'm going to make sure that there's a coordinator to have people, and then we can get together and plot out the movement. I'm not going to do this in your state. You're going to do it. Started. But really, the book has all the everything you need to know in there. I'm just going to really quickly go through the book, and then I'll leave it at that. I'm going to go hit the beach. It's been a a long, tiring week traveling. So, chapter one of the book called "Government Schools Are Bad for Your Kids," published in 2009. And the problem with that, it eviscerates the government school system from a very factual, historical basis, and some theory as well. But people weren't ready for the message. It has been around since about 1845, and the people cannot imagine that they might not exist. Most of American history, dating back to the the founding, there weren't any centralized government schools, and we were fabulously successful. We became the number one before most people went to even an 8th grade education through government schools. We were tied with England. We had the most inventions, the most entrepreneurs, the most economic development. Nonsense that we needed these schools. We never needed them. They never worked properly. We survived them for quite some time. And now we've gotten more bureaucratic. They've gotten more ideological since the 60s and 70s. I think people are now ready to hear the message after 2 years of hell during the lockdown. You know everything that happened as you were watching it on the computer, or you heard about it on your news. Chapter 1 basically reprises the case against government schools. Chapter 2, time, school shootings are up. The prisonization is continuing now as a solution to these shootings, often from students. That's a feature, not a bug, as I've explained in several of these books. They're agents of the Democratic Party. So that's why, one of the reasons why young people listen here, because frankly, I'm calling out the Republican Party. But if it wasn't for people who recently, you would have a different president right now. Just look at the distribution of votes between Trump and Biden. Your kids are being brainwashed, not educated. They used to be brainwashed in progressivism, which is like love of background. Now that's conjoined with the insanity of leftism. Not the same thing. Please, people, get it right. Leftism is the pursuit of equality in all human affairs by means of state coercion. Progressivism is the notion of problems. Two different things. Got a little noise in the background, so I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so the brainwashing is obviously there. Camp is really important. And I don't know why, failed government programs work better. I don't understand why. Why do you try so hard to program coercive government, socialized schools work better? You can't make them. It's a bureaucracy. A bureaucracy is a institution in which some people have over others. What that means is the institution will always be organized for the benefit of the bureaucracy, and everybody else will be victimized by that bureaucracy. That's what chapter 5. I'll skip to chapter 7 and 10. Now, in chapter 7, talks about the mechanics of dismantling the system. And if that's all that's accomplished, I guess I will have done my small part, but I want to learn the rest of the ideas as well, and basically have a system that's completely a free market educational law, and abandoning this 19th century factory model, which no longer works. It never worked well, but in no society. So all the mechanics are there, the step-by-step approach. First, getting rid of that gets rid of the homeschooling and regulations in private schools, and that a lot of experimentation in the market, either for-profit or non-profit schools. We can begin to create a system in which education is affordable or very low income. And then in chapter 10, what you can do to light a conservatism Inc. I'm not going to go into detail on it, but it's a step-by-step program. You set up your organization, you contact the legislators. And if the legislator says doesn't respond at all, which you get a lot of that these days, because these politicians are very arrogant people, even in Florida. So I'm more familiar with New York. Look, there's nothing that gets can light a fire under a politician. So it's a step-by-step political program that's laid out, and ultimately does not succeed in the 23 red states. Then we got to do homeschooling, just as we're doing in the blue states. Any legislative reform in the blue states. So up in Buffalo, we're pursuing homeschooling, and then we back that up that we haven't rolled out yet. I'm not going to tell the bad guys how we're coming at them. They'll find out. Revenge is a day. So that's basically the movement. If other issues aside, if we don't win this fight, we're screwed. We're screwed. You already, in progressivism, a primer, 2004, the idea that's destroying America. Well, it is destroying America. The country's in much worse shape now than it was in just in 2014. Sorry, I said 2004. 2014, just that many years ago. My next stops will be probably back to New Hampshire, but in Ohio and Indiana, and I will go as soon as I have a coordinator in those states to event at the state capitol with at least 10 people, and then we'll have a little meeting after that and try to organize. That's what I'm doing. This week, the Mises University is teaching history, and that's absolutely important. And they're the best at it. But somebody's got to take that theory really pragmatically and strategically, and that's my role as, I think, operative in the movement. If I'm wrong, I apologize to whoever I've offended. But if you've been doing it from every conceivable political party, I'd be very surprised to hear that. So, and thanks for hearing me out. Spread the live stream. I'm open for speaking engagement, preferably with some sort of expenses paid and so on. But we can negotiate. I will see you back online, back to Buffalo in a couple of days. Thank you.